I've got some updates for you guys, and this is all around the DEXs that have launched recently and DeFi protocols that have launched on Cardano. We've had SaturnSwap, we've had NikeSwap, we had Splash launch recently as well, and we've also had Optim's OADA launch just recently, just today. And we're going to go through and cover a couple of these things, have a couple of talking points around them as well, so that you guys can go and deep dive a little bit more and discover what these protocols could possibly do for you in terms of your trading and DeFi strategies. Let's get into it. If this is your first time here, I'm Peter Bury and I do all things Cardano. If you enjoy that kind of thing, make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell, and I'll keep on delivering Cardano related content to your inbox. Now let's have a look at what's been going on in the space. And the first one here is SaturnSwap. So SaturnSwap has launched. This is a DEX from Avatar Nick and his brother that have been building. So this is the DEX here, and it is an order book style DEX. It doesn't have batches, so you're not paying the extra fee to process the transactions, and it is blisteringly fast. How fast? I haven't tried it myself, and I'm going to do a swap live here. I'm going to swap for some of these Saturn tokens, some of the tokens native to the DEX itself. I'm just going to swap over some 5 ADAs worth and see exactly how long this takes. Apparently, it should be almost instantaneous. Here you can see in this particular transaction, my ADA is going out, but I can look at this the asset, and that's coming in that same transaction. So let me just sign that, and we'll see this come through. I should, okay, success. It will take at least 20 seconds because the transaction has to hit the blockchain, has to be submitted to a mempool and then processed and put into a block by a block producer. So it will take a little bit of time no matter what, but I'm just going to wait roughly 20 seconds and see how this one goes. There we go. That's mine there. It's about a minute ago. So it took roughly about a minute for that to go through and complete. So the difference here between Saturn and the existing DEXs, some of the existing DEXs in the Cardano ecosystem, is that one, the transaction needs to be submitted to the chain, and then it gets accepted by the DEX, and the DEX uses a batcher to process a group of transactions together and then spits it back out to the blockchain, and then you get it in return. This swap here happened all in one single transaction. We just had to wait for it to be confirmed on chain. So the swap went up, but then the returning asset coming back to me within that transaction that I just signed was the resulting Saturn assets, the Saturn fungible token. So that's the major difference here. There's no batcher. I'm not paying the extra ADA that you need for a batcher in this regard. So with a batcher based DEX, I would have had to pay an extra 1.5 or 2 ADA to actually have that transaction processed by the DEX itself. So this order book style DEX is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love this type of DEX. Another DEX that is very similar to this that uses the same type of model is Genius Yield, and it makes it really simple and easy and really quick to do that type of transaction. Okay, so that's really good, and I absolutely love that. The other really cool thing about the DEX here is the way that the liquidity works. Now, I did an interview with Nick. You can check it out in the show notes down below, or in the top right-hand corner. It should appear for you guys. But the liquidity that is added to the DEX, the ADA there that is locked in, such as with the ADA Nike pool here, the ADA, you usually lose the staking rights and the voting rights of that ADA. But in this case, the owners of the pool itself can use the ADA that's locked in that pool for voting in Project Catalyst or for the staking rewards that come out of it, and then they can choose and decide what happens to that ADA. Maybe they use it to buy more of their tokens within their ecosystem, or redistribute that ADA as rewards to their LP holders. So there's a lot of really cool things there that SaturnSwap are doing that's a little bit unique compared to what's happening in other DEXs at the moment. So this is kind of like an evolution of how DEXs may be operating in the future, which is really cool, and I really like that. And I highly encourage you to check out that video I did with Nick so you can learn more about some of these subtle differences within the DEX itself. Now, the other one that's launched recently is Splash. So this is a product from Spectrum. So Spectrum was their first one. And now this is a fully open source decentralized exchange from the team as well. So this is the DEX here. It's currently set to trading OADA, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But the great thing about the Splash DEX is, again, it's one of those capital efficient DEXs. The fees are a lot lower. It's a lot more efficient in regards to how it operates. I'll just do a quick transaction here, and I'll swap another 5 ADA for OADA. So it's almost a 1-to-1, which it should be. And I'll click on swap. I'll just sign that transaction and away it goes. Great. So here we can see that was 7 ADA all up. I did do a 5 ADA swap. So there is a little bit of a network fee and then a deposit for that ADA as well. So this is the deposit that goes along with a Cardano native token. So if you're moving an NFT or a token within the Cardano ecosystem, you need to have that little bit of ADA attached to it, and that is that particular deposit that went through there. So overall, it's really cheap trade. On other DEXs, you would also have to have that deposit as well as a batcher fee too. So if you're trading small amounts of assets, this is a really good way of doing it because it makes it just that much more capital efficient for whatever you're trading for. So especially if you're just entering the space, you're trading meme coins, these type of DEXs are much better for them because you're not paying those extra fees. Now, a really good way to trade on the Cardano ecosystem is through the various DEX aggregators, such as DEX Hunter, and you can see the prices here. You can see where your assets are being traded through. So if you're trading a high amount of ADA volume, it will distribute and split up all of your trades across the various different protocols so that you will get the best price. So always keep that in mind. Have a look at what DEX Hunter can do and also what ADA markets can do for you as well. You can see here, it may give you a slightly different price. It may be connected to one other DEX that the other one isn't. So it's a really good idea to have a look around and see where you can get the best trades for whatever token you're looking into. So definitely look into that, have a play around with it. It's really nice to see all these other DEXs come on board. And as you can see here, SaturnSwap hasn't been integrated into DEX Hunter or ADA markets just yet, but we will see that come into play really soon. The other DEX I also will mention here is NikeSwap. So if you're into the Nike meme coin, Avatar Nick put together this one here. It's essentially a clone of SaturnSwap, but this was launched a couple of weeks ago, and it allows you to swap for Nike against ADA really quickly and efficiently, and it has a lot of liquidity on there. It lets you do the limit orders, everything else that you expect, but of course, because it's concentrated and focused purely on Nike, it has a lot of the volume there at the moment as well. So it's a really nice one to play around with if you're looking to get into the meme coin space, specifically around Nike. So do check that one out as well. There's options for liquidity and everything else around it. So there's a decent amount of liquidity on here. Now, the last product that I'd like to talk about is OADA from Optim Finance. Now, the team have been working on this for a while. This article came back in November the 4th, 2023, when they first talked about it. So that was roughly eight months ago. But essentially what they're offering here is a synthetic version of ADA. Now, you may be asking yourself, why OADA? Why do we need a synthetic version of ADA on chain? Now, one of the really interesting things that was mentioned to me was that the stats in terms of TVL on Cardano, on like a DeFi Llama and all these other platforms, when they look at the TVL, they don't include staked ADA because you don't have to interact with a smart contract or do anything with it. So it's not a part of the DeFi ecosystem. So DeFi Llama is tracking DeFi movement of assets, and ADA isn't a part of that because it isn't converted into a synthetic version or locked into a smart contract, where this, if you use OADA, those stats would be included. So then you'd see an increase of that TVL in terms of DeFi. Other ecosystems will see that and go, hey, what's going on here? Why is Cardano's DeFi suddenly surging? And it's because of that creation of OADA. So that's one really good way to create a mechanism where you can see those TVL stats start to increase. The other cool thing about this is that OADA is an advanced passive ADA yield product. And here it says it was trying to return a target of 50% plus. And it does this by stripping out the staking rewards and staking rights from the ADA itself. So when you mint OADA, it creates two things. You will have OADA and then staked OADA or SOADA. So you have two of the products there, and you can go through their platform and actually mint those particular assets. So the idea is that if you mint OADA, you give up the staking rights and voting rights, the staking rewards of that particular ADA. You may use the OADA on different protocols, on different DEXs, and they may have a lot of different yield farming rewards on there. So you get the incentives of using OADA in different ecosystems, in different platforms to earn the yield returns there. So it would be different type of yield return. Whereas the staked ADAs, because you've given up that staking rights and staking rewards in the OADA, they'll be given to the SOADA. I think it's SOADA or STOADA. SOADA. So that staked OADA will earn those extra boosted staking rewards. So it's a really good way to try and boost the staking rewards, because we are seeing staking rewards getting reduced over time. We're about that 2.6% at the moment. When I first started my stake pool 3 years ago, that staking return was 4.2%, and the price of ADA was quite high and it was quite nice. But the staking rewards have generally decreased over the 3 years. ADA's price is quite low, so it's not really that appealing. So you need to look into ways to boost those staking rewards to try and get the optimal returns for all of your DeFi assets. And this is one way of doing it. I do have an interview planned with the team so we can talk more about OADA and what it has to offer for the Cardano ecosystem. So I'm really interested in that one. If you want to go ahead and start minting it, you can get to it. I'll put links down below at app.optim.finance. Follow the links to OADA, and then you can start minting and managing your stake as well. So you can stake it and unstake it. But you can go ahead, mint that. It should be generally a 1-to-1 ratio. It may be a little bit different because of fees that come out of the particular transaction. So maybe spending just a little bit more, but you get the OADA back, and then you can participate in other DeFi opportunities where you can earn some extra rewards on top of that particular asset. So hopefully this has given you a really good overview of what's happening, what's been launching in terms of the DeFi space and DeFi products in the Cardano ecosystem this week, just this week alone. Pretty interesting to see what's going on at the moment, and big congratulations to all the teams that are continuously working, especially in this bear market at the moment, continuously working and pushing out these cool new products to the Cardano ecosystem. If you enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, click on the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.